I remember I did this analysis once and I intended to do a video, but I was just like, there was so much content on it already. But the actual ROI on driving for Uber, it's really low. I think you make less than minimum wage.
Yeah, I heard that.
Especially when you factor in the time that you're sitting around waiting for a ride. If you're sitting in your car somewhere, if you just ended a ride and you're waiting, a lot of guys do nothing. And once you factor in insurance, gas, wear and tear, and all the other stuff that you got to do. And even today, the cost goes up for a lot of these guys too, because they have to have masks on and gloves and all this kind of crap, spit shields. Like the cost of what you earn is quite a bit lower than minimum wage. It's like a third lower than minimum wage. Have you ever driven for Uber?
No, I have not. No,
Yeah.
not. So
Yeah. I mean, like these guys are never making millions, right?
no, there's no way. There's no way to scale it. There's no way to make it into something bigger. And
Yeah.
I've seen the numbers that you're talking about. It's when you take into account all the different things like gas, car maintenance and all that type of stuff, you're barely getting by. So, and if people don't realize it, and that's the smart thing that Uber did, is they completely have monetized other people's vehicles for their benefit. So
Yeah, they arguably have the largest fleet of taxis out there that they don't have to maintain, pay insurance on, or anything, because
crazy.
they throw it on the shoulders of the drivers, right? There's nothing to brag about if you're exchanging a block of time for less than what amounts to less than minimum wage at the end of the day. So I think that you got to be incredibly careful. I mean, I get there's some guys there that need to earn an income and it works for them to some degree, or maybe they're on peak hours and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it just doesn't really have any long-term legs on it. It's just a very, very difficult model. The only time that I've seen it work successfully, I remember I saw this article. The guy was interviewed, I think, in an entrepreneur magazine or Forbes or something like that. But he lived in LA, I think in the Beverly Hills area is what he targeted. And he actually ended up having a fleet of cars. I don't know if you ever heard this story, but he was basically a jeweler, and he would focus on picking up rides that were usually women, and he'd have this handmade jewelry inside his car. So, he had their attention for 25, 35 minutes, in some cases driving around with the jewelry there. They'd want to look at it, of course, because it's a shiny object. And he made a fortune, not off Uber, but the Uber got him in front of people that had the opportunity and the financial means to buy the handmade jewelry that he was making for massive profits. And then he hired a couple of other guys to, of course, do the exact same thing and put the jewelry in their car and paid a commission. That's the only time that I've seen it work. But I mean, if you're just going to drive around picking up rides and dropping them off, I've never seen anybody make millions off that. It's just not a feasible business model.